incredible genre of music if you don't know anything about them. They often have tragedy, and sometimes they tell a story that most people don't know. So they could be about narco corridos right now, are really famous. And but these, we happen to find that the corridos that most valued women, they ended up, there were a ton of them from the Mexican Revolution. So we're gonna, I'm gonna share a couple of slides with you. And this is a soldadera. She's a soldier woman, or a soldada. She could actually be a soldier woman who fought. So they either were camp followers or they fought in the Mexican Revolution. And they are generally from the borderlands, as well as in this side of the border and in Mexico. And so leading up to the Mexican Revolution, which was between 1910 and 1920, there was unprecedented amounts of women's organizing, which influenced the various roles that women played during the revolution. And even today, these women were instrumental in starting the revolution. They were nurses, they were either aides to male soldiers, or they were soldiers themselves. And what they were fighting was this guy. And this is Porfirio Diaz, and he was a dictator for 30 years in Mexico. One thing you'll notice is that the women are wearing rebozos, which are the shawls that they wear. And those rebozos at that time were intended to carry children, carry goods on their backs. And so it was part of their also to cover their heads sometimes and to keep warm. But those rebozos are often mentioned in a lot of these songs that we do. So here's Porfirio Diaz and his guys. They had been properly warned that the Mexican Revolution was going to happen, and they were not paying attention. In fact, this is right in 1910, this video. And you can see again how they're dressed, and this is the way that they carried on. They were quite aristocratic in Mexico. And we never get to see this kind of footage. You basically have to go to Mexico to find out this kind of history. So this was Mexico and all the carriages and so on and so forth. But they had no idea that their fellow citizens, that these women were plotting to organize the Mexican Revolution against Porfirio Diaz. So these women, one thing about them is that in 1910, not only in Central America and South America, but here in North America, literacy was the most important thing, because a printing press had started, and so there was a lot of communication with media, propaganda, and the women owned the presses. So these women were organizing, and they got together, and a lot of songs were written during this time. There were love songs, and but at the same time, plans of action were happening.
Las mujeres y los hombres por su patria dan la vida con valor. Valentina y Jesucita ya pelearon pero nunca morirán, y la bendita morirá, ella al lado de su
of the Mexican Revolution, and her name is Adelita. Her real name is Adela Perez, and she was first a nurse, and she started off in the Revolution planning, running. You see that she's on a train along with many other women, And what's going on here is they're going to blow up the haciendas. So these are the people that are the revolucionarios. And Adelita is, we hear this song, and most people call the soldaderas Adelitas, just in regular lay terms. But that's because of this woman. Now, there are some researchers that say she doesn't really exist. The song became the most famous because the guy, the sergeant who wrote it, was in love with Adelita. She fought next to him. It says that not only was she brave and strong, but she also was beautiful. And but this guy would go and he'd play his harmonica, wah, 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 wah. And today we still, this is a song most associated, it's the most famous corrido of the Mexican Revolution. Lo alto de la bruta serranía, acampado se encontraba un regimiento y una joven que valiente lo seguía, locamente enamorada del sargento. Popular entre la tropa era Delita, la mujer que el sargento idolatraba, por jamás de ser valiente era bonita, que hasta el mismo coronel la respetaba, pues sabía que decía aquel que tanto la quería.
Adelita se llama la joven, a quien yo quiero y no puedo olvidar. En el mundo yo tengo una rosa que con el tiempo la voy a cortar. Si Adelita quisiera ser mi novia, si Adelita fuera mi mujer, le compraría un vestido de seda para llevarla a bailar al cuartel.
Well, of course, because they were used to, they were spies, and these women were disappearing, so you see tons of people coming across the border in the 1920s and 1930s, and this is why. So if your relatives are coming during that time, generally it's because they don't have a home. And they went to Chicago, and they went to Utah, and they went to New York, but they got to New York and they kept going, and they went somewhere else. And they established these incredible lines going up, and that's also in 500 years of Chicano history. So we end with that, and thank you very much. Again, this is Dick Chavez. Impromptu, right? And Carol Vigil, my partner.
And la mera profesora más chingona.
piensan que soy militar.